Welcome and thank you for tuning in to the Aftershock with Quakes Epicenter. I'm Phil Leyva here with Alex Morgan and Jamon Moore. And gentlemen, it is a night to remember for the San Jose Earthquakes. The last home match for number 6, Shea Salinas. He scores on a free kick and in an effort, that he put in, created the opportunity with the foul call. I mean, there are just so many words. I'm sure we have a lot to talk about in regards to Shea. There's a lot to talk about in regards to the match overall. So why don't we go ahead and start off with our initial thoughts? Jamin, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you first. Your thoughts following this last home match for Shea Salinas.
Yeah, I mean,
And a
really
2-0 win
excited.
for that matter.
What's that?
I said in a 2-0 win for that matter.
A
With
2-0 win, and that's the most important part because if Shea scores but the Quakes lose, I'm sure it's going to be a bittersweet thing for a player like him who always has put the team first, right? A player who has not played all that much this season, no complaints, completely understood if the team, would make the decision to not bring him back this season. We don't know how much of this is him or how much of it was an honest conversation between him and the team as to where they saw him going forward and, something that was decided on together. And, if I'm fortunate, I'll get a chance maybe to talk to him when he comes up to Seattle here next week and try to understand a bit better, around some of the retirement decisions. But look, I mean, you can't write it much better. Shea was never one to create the prettiest looking goals. He had a couple good ones over the years, but usually they were a little bit. I look back at like the Vancouver goal that he scored at MLS's back tournament. Everyone goes like Messi, Shea Salinas there, but let's be honest, he's kind of stumbling into the box. The ball pings off of a defender back onto his foot before he's able to finish this off. And in hindsight, it's a little bit lucky. And of course, tonight, the luck goes his way, but not until he earns it first by drawing the free kick. I said, Shea Salinas has scored on one free kick, according to OptaJack, in his entire career. Of course, it was tonight. Of course, it was probably the only free kick he ever took. He's going to have a retire with a perfect conversion percentage on free kicks. And one has to wonder, did the league miss the next Giovinco as a result?
That's funny. Alex, let's hear your initial thoughts after the match.
Look, Phil, that was the perfect send off for Shea. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house for that one. You could see Daniel Slayton fighting back the tears on the broadcast. They cut to a clip of Shea holding back the tears. I'm sitting here by myself in my room holding back tears, watching that game. So we're gonna try to do our best to keep our cool during the post-match press conference when we get a chance to speak to Shea. But that's a warning that there might be some strong emotions in today's show because Shea means so much to each of us, I think, and to this club. He's the last player who was on that 2012 team that was left in this roster. So he's the last legacy, remnant of that legacy. And it's really sad to see him go. And it's ironic that we were sitting here with so many emotions and tears after that game because it was the most fun I've had watching the San Jose Earthquakes this whole season. That was, I think, the most fun game for the players and for the fans. The grins on the players' faces after that Shea goal, biggest smiles I've seen on the team this whole year. And it felt like somebody said this in the patron Slack that we have. I think it was Gina said, felt like the last day of school before summer, where it's been such a long, tough year. It just feels really good to let loose and for the players to get to enjoy themselves for a bit, to funnel the ball to Shea Salinas whenever they could, to try their luck from distance. I don't think I've seen the team take so many shots from outside the box ever. It was just a really, really fun atmosphere and the perfect send-off, I think, for Shea and for the team.
Yeah, it most certainly was a fun game to watch. I mean, Paul Marie almost knocked one in, right? A typical Paul Marie goal it would have been if he would have scored. But I have a few things I wanted to say about Shea Salinas and what he means to this team, because you did mention, Alex, that, yeah, he's been with the club, or he was there in 2012 as a part of that legacy. But Shea's been in the league for 15 years, and it goes even farther than that. I mean, he was teammates with Darren Huckerby in 2008 when the Quakes first came back into the league, right? He was around in the MLS 2.0 era, like at the very start of it. This is like when David Beckham came into the league. So he's somebody who lined up against Beckham, Thierry Henry, Robbie Keane, all the guys who really kind of set the tone for what the league was to become. And Shea is a big part of that as well. And I think that's something that folks should should remember about him and why it's really important that he was a part of this team for so long. I did want to mention too that I thought the goal that Benji Kikanovic scored later in the match was such a good like homage to the way that Shea Salinas would have scored his goals. I mean, it wasn't the best touch off the ball that came through the midfield, but he still beat Boxall twice, right? He beat him on the run and he beat him on the shot as well. It was a tenacious goal, and I thought, wow, that was like the perfect way to kind of salute Shea's performance as well and what Benji was able to do with that goal. A couple other things about Shea Salinas, though, that I was thinking about is like, I think he's a player that's always been appreciated throughout the league. He got picked up twice through like 2 different expansion drafts, right? He was picked up by the Philadelphia Union in 2009, and then he was picked up by the Vancouver Whitecaps in another expansion draft the year after, and then he came back to the Quakes, and as you guys know, he remained with the team. So, I mean, a lot of great moments for him. If you guys want to discuss more of the match, I'm ready to take it in that direction, but I was hoping you could share, before we do that, your favorite moment, your favorite Shea Salinas moment in his time with the San Jose Earthquakes. Alex, I'm going to put you on the spot first here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of moments. I'll give one on the field moment and one off the field moment. The on the field moment has to be the game winner in the Cali Classico that he scored and ripped his shirt off. I think that was the most electric moment of live soccer that I've witnessed in my life. Just having 50,000 fans erupt at Stanford Stadium, watching him sprint down the touchline, the energy in that moment was incredibly powerful, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. So that's my favorite moment on the field. The favorite moment off the field is just every time I've been at the stadium late doing these shows. Before I did these shows, writing game reports and until 2-3 hours after the game ended, filing my report, walking down the stairs out the back of the stadium, and everybody else is gone, but Shea Salinas is still there chatting with fans in the car park, signing autographs, making people smile. Just all those little moments, the way that he included everyone in the community and made everybody feel welcome and everybody feel appreciated is I think what he'll be missed for the most. Regardless of what he achieved on the pitch, I think he made people feel happy to be a part of the Earthquakes community. Even when the club was doing really bad, even in really difficult times, he brought people to San Jose and made them happy to be here. And I think that's an incredible trait to have.
That's lovely, Alex. Thank you. Jamon, what do you think? What is a moment that stands out to you in Shea's career with the Earthquakes?
Oh man, there's a few of them for me. Shea was the only player that before I became part of the media that I really got the chance to kind of like talk to, have a real kind of like conversation with and get to know. We actually both ended up at a funeral for a good friend of ours named Bill Jenkins, a man that we both respected and got to do some youth soccer things with back in the day. And I turn around at the funeral and Shea's right behind me. He was, and we got to know each other a bit, through the interactions that we had in youth soccer as well. My son's very first youth practice that he had with San Jose FC, Ian Russell's old youth club. Shea was on the field with the U8 players, just doing drills with them and just trying to create that connection between the club, because Ian would ask players to go out and help out in the practices. And Shea had an older team at the time, and a lot of Quakes players would get involved in youth soccer back then because they didn't make enough money to do one job. It's something that Shea took a lot of pride in was his connection in youth soccer. And it was one of those things that I always felt this kind of special connection with him. In fact, first time I ever met him, he was wearing a shirt that looked exactly like this. And I haven't bought Quakes gear since I became a media person a few years back, but This is one of the very few pieces of Quakes gear I actually own. And when I met Shea in person for the first time, that's what he was wearing. And I was walking through a store one day and happened to see it, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like, we never have Earthquakes, gear in stores, and I'm like, I'm buying that right now. I've always remembered that the person that I saw wearing this just out and about was Shea Salinas. On field, for me as a fan, going back to the days where I was in the stands as a fan, the one that really kind of I think I most emotionally reacted to was the Cali Classico goal before Alan Gordon's goal. Back, what was that, 2017? I think it was 2016 when
That was
whatever.
That was 2013, I believe. That's the one you're talking about. Are you talking about the Cali Classico?
Yeah, was that 13? That is that long ago? Okay, well, I'm just old now.
It's okay.
But that's the one that I reacted to, I think, the strongest at the time, because it was a game where, and this was so Earthquakes like, they played, not very well for 80, 85 minutes, stretch of a game. And then all of a sudden the Goonie magic kicked in, right? And, it was amazing to me how a team could play sometimes so badly for that stretch of time and then still come out and be able to win games the way that they did. And Shea was just one of those people that made you believe that good things were going to happen. Back in the day, he was the best corner kick taker on the team. And I remember when he broke his collarbone at New York in a Red Bulls game.
Rafael Marquez kicked him right in the collar.
Yeah, the team suffered because no one on this team could take a corner kick if it wasn't for Shea. And as soon as he was back, I'm like, dude, I'm so happy you're back, because I saw him at an event. I'm like, I'm so happy you're back because finally you're gonna get to take corners again, because it's been really bad since you've been gone. But that Goonies team, everyone thinks oh, this was a great team. It was actually not that good of a team for a lot of games, but they put it together at the end of games, and it was such a team. Those guys were all in. They had each other's back. They played with heart and grit, and people have been saying that in the chat, and we'll try to share everyone's comments here as much as we can during the show today. But that's the thing that kind of got me, was that grit. And Shea Salinas, this kind of clean looking guy who, looked like, he probably belonged in a corporate office somewhere instead of on a soccer pitch, had as much grit as, a guy like Victor Bernardez. And, that always impressed me about him.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to say, though, he was absolutely the kindest guy. I had an opportunity to meet him a couple of times prior to Quakes After 90 or joining you guys here at Quakes Epicenter. Just as a fan, I had a flight to LA to go see them play the Galaxy, and I happened to be on the same flight with the team. And when I was waiting, I talked to Shea when I was just sitting in the terminal. That's the person that I ended up talking to, and we talked about a lot of things, about life, about family, his community and his church, and he was always just the nicest guy. And then not too long after that, in 2014, for the new logo reveal, I saw him over there at San Pedro Square Market, and he actually came over to me and is like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then he recalled the conversation that we had in the airport that one time. So, he always goes the extra mile. I think you guys saw it during the match. As soon as he got subbed off, he went right over and started signing autographs for the next 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, he's just that kind of a guy.
And Phil, I know that the thing about Shea Salinas is that everybody has a story like this.
Yeah.
He just takes such good care of the people around him and goes out of his way to make sure that everyone feels welcome. And then I'd love to hear more of these stories in the Slack. This is a nice one from Martin here about Shea spending time talking after a game. If you guys have Shea Salinas stories, now is the chance. Now is the last chance to be able to bring them up and share them on the show and celebrate.
Alex, I'm going to read it aloud just for the listeners who are listening in podcast form. Martin Moss says, "I remember at Buckshaw after a game, Shea spending 16 minutes with me, signing my baseball cap and just talking to me. Man, he was and is a great man."
So true. I just hope in whatever job that Shea takes, after his career is done, whether that's a job in soccer, outside of soccer, in the San Jose front office, I hope so, or not. I hope that he has the opportunity to rip off his shirt and swing it around after accomplishing something big, after finishing that presentation that he's been working on the whole time, just bursting out of the room, ripping off the shirt and running around in celebration. I hope he gets that opportunity in his next career.
He will. I want to share, though, my favorite moment with Shea on the field, and I think you guys kind of already got at it. But yes, that first goal, Jamon, that he scored before the game winner that Alan Gordon scored, that was a huge moment. But when I think of Shea Salinas, I think of his contribution to the goal that Gordon scored. And I just want to kind of do a play-by-play really quickly for anybody who doesn't remember. And this is exactly what Jamon was talking about with this team could really bring it together at times in the most amazing ways. This the 2012-2013 Quakes. And if you go back and watch the video, you can see Shea make this run into open space on the left side of the right side of the pitch, and he finds a perfect ball for Marvin Chavez. Right, Marvin Chavez unseats AJ De La Garza and puts him on the turf, and then smiles, laughs, and then sends the ball over to Shea. And Shea finds Sam Cronin a perfect pass in wide open space, and Cronin could have taken that shot right for the game winner, but he didn't. He found Gordon on the near post there, running alongside one of the other Quakes players. But I just think of Shea isolated in that moment and his contribution to that goal, because it couldn't have happened without him. I mean, he really stretched the field and allowed all the rest of the guys to kind of fill in that space in the 18-yard box, and he found that cross to Sam Cronin. So that's the moment that sticks out in my mind when I think of Shea Salinas and his contributions to the team. And then again, they were saying at the end of the broadcast, Anthony Passarelli was saying that, or maybe it was Chris Dangerfield, the locker room always seems to be so strong with this team regardless of the outcomes. And I think Shea Salinas is a big part of that. I mean, Chris Wondolowski was a big part of it. Ramiro Corrales was a big part of it before he retired. And I think Shea kind of carried that legacy. And I'm hoping guys like Tommy Thompson and Christian Espinoza, if he should remain with the team going forward, they will carry on that tradition of trying to hold things together even in the worst of times.
And I think that his retirement now is actually putting the front office in a bit of a difficult spot, because they need somebody else to step up and carry the weight for all of the feel good, family-oriented social media content that they've been producing over the last 5 years. There have been so many short little clips of Shea Salinas out in the community, Shea Salinas, building crafts with his family that I've seen on Instagram over the last 5 years. Somebody else needs to step up and start making this wholesome content.
All right, well, maybe we can move into some analysis of the match here, since we have a little bit of time before we get to the press conference. So this was a 2-0 result for the Quakes. JT Marcinkowski gets a clean sheet, and we have goals from both Shea Salinas on the free kick and Benji Kikanovic on that nice run past Boxall, and then the not great touch, but then being tenacious and having a wonderful shot to score the goal. So the 2-0 victory.
I'm just going to point out to Christian here that Shea will not be destroying San Jose Sunday League teams. He's definitely going to be in church.
There we go. That's for sure. So, okay, going back to the game though. Jamon, I'm going to go to you first, since you threw me off track here. What did you see from this match and from the Quakes? They had an opportunity to kind of derail Minnesota's opportunity to make the playoffs here. We had an important game between LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake, who are also fighting for the playoff positions. Quakes in a spoiler role here. What did you see from the team? What did you like? And what are you looking forward to in this last match against the Seattle Sounders?
Well, we saw a little bit better defense tonight. There's a couple things that still concern me. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, Luchi Gonzalez was at the game tonight. It was not something that the club wanted to put out there, because they wanted the attention to be on Shea, as it should have been. But Luchi being in person, I kept thinking okay, Luchi's seeing what we're seeing here, and he should be forming some opinions based upon what he's seeing on the pitch. First, Nico Chakiris and Jamiro Montero together. I said it before the game. I was really happy with it. It's a lot of fun. It didn't necessarily lead to a goal, but the creativity, you can kind of see that was fun. And I think if you think back on the game of why the game felt like a fun game and felt like the Quakes were doing pretty well with it, a lot of it had to do with that combination of Chakiris and Montero and their creativity around the box, looking to create things that felt dangerous, right? They had a number of cutback attempts in the first half, none of which actually got on frame because they were well read by the Minnesota defense. But, that's a hopeful thing. And if you are Lucci and you're watching Nico Chakiris, you got to be, licking your chops here at what that kid is going to be able to do as he develops, because he looked fantastic again tonight. I didn't really like Jackson Ewell at the 6 as a strategy. It was okay. They didn't end up getting burned by Reynoso. I was a bit concerned about Reynoso at the 10 up against, Ewell, and he did get the early yellow. So they didn't get burned by that. I think that's a little bit of luck and Reynoso having a little bit of an off night for what he's capable of doing. But all's well that ends well, I guess. They got the clean sheet anyway. The other thing that kind of stood out to me was, again, Benji Kikanovic hits the pitch and finds a way to impact the game. It's whether it's in a sub role, whether it's in a starting role, whatever's going on, on the pitch, Benji Kikanovic affects it. And like, hey, Shea Salinas is starting. This is great. It's great for the vibes. It's great for the memories. It's great for what it means. But at the same time, you're kind of like, but if Benji Kikanovic is out there, they're probably leading 2-0 at half because of all the opportunities around goal. And of course, he finds a way to be able to score even on a bumbled through ball that he didn't catch cleanly. He still has enough quality to beat a quality defender like Michael Boxall. Let's face it, the Earthquakes have had trouble scoring on Boxall ever since Minnesota United came into the league, just about. And Benji took him one-on-one going away from goal and still had enough quality to finish to the back post. And Dane Sinclair wasn't even close to it. So, it's the kind of thing that makes you feel like, yeah, if this team can play a bit of defense next season with a little bit more structure, that, they can make the playoffs. They got that level of quality in the attack. And we're just now scratching the surface of a guy like Nico Chakiris. And in a game that Benji Kikanovic didn't start either. So that's kind of, I think, the big takeaway, for me was that if I'm Lucci, the thing that I'm probably noticing is in the first half, there were at least 2 times, maybe more than that, where the Quakes were facing an odd man rush and they were outnumbered on the transitions. Most teams in the league are smart enough to not let themselves get in that position, but the Quakes were pushing 8 guys up into the box at times. It's lunacy. Let's hope that Lucci saw that tonight and is like, okay, yeah, let me take a note on that one. Got to fix these transition defense. Maybe we don't push everyone up in all these situations that we're currently pushing people up in. Let's push in the people who can actually make a difference. Because it did get a bit crowded in the box. And a couple of those cutbacks might have been able to be finished if it wasn't so crowded. You actually want to get some space in there. You don't want 5 or 6 guys, in the box in those kinds of situations. You really want 1 or 2 and force the defenders to have to move to them to open up space for someone running in. And it's a little bit too much right now, and then it hurts them in the transitions.
That's a good segue for what I was going to ask Alex about. Now, Alex, you've been a bit critical of Rodriguez's performances since he's joined the team, and we had tonight at the fullback positions, Paul Marie, Tommy Thompson, and then we had Rodriguez paired up with Nathan in the center back positions. And I'm curious as to what your take is on the defending for this match. They get the clean sheet, but there were some nervy moments, especially from Rodriguez. Your thoughts, Alex?
Look, I thought that this was their strongest defensive performance in months. Rodriguez brought a lot of energy, and he's always liable for a few risky moments at the back. But I thought his distribution was really, really improved today. The Quakes were able to build out of the back really well throughout this game, and Minnesota United were pressing them pretty hard. This was a low stakes, fun game for the Earthquakes, but this was a really, really important game for Minnesota United. They're right on the cusp of the playoffs, and I think this result, moves them out of a playoff position and could, reasonably be the reason they miss out on the playoffs this year. So they came out really hard, and I was expecting a really tough matchup, especially in the midfield with Reynoso in there against Jackson Ewell. I was really surprised with how well the Quakes were able to build out. And I think it has a lot to do with the midfield. I really, really liked the combination of Jackson Ewell, Jamiro Montero, and Nico Shakiris. Jackson Ewell as a number 6 might not be the best long-term solution, but we have to give him credit. He played really well tonight. He connected the play well. Defensively, he was sound. And I think that the highlight for me has to be the way that Nico Shakiris and Jamiro Montero played together. We saw Nico get his first start in MLS last weekend against the LA Galaxy, and he played well. He had a beautiful assist, but I think it was fair to say that he lacked a little bit of confidence. You could tell he was just finding his feet. In this game, he looked really incredibly confident. He was driving at defenders. He was picking his head up in the final third and making really sharp passes. This kid is the future of San Jose. He's the future of MLS, and I think it's reasonable to say he could be a big part of the future of American soccer because he's got so much talent, and I'm sure Luchi Gonzalez will be really excited about the way that he played tonight, not only for the Earthquakes organization but for the USMNT as well, because this kid's one of the best prospects that we've seen, and I love the way, in particular, that him and Jamiro Montero were able to get into the wide channels. They were both playing, in the number 10 role. They're both attacking midfielders, but the way they were splitting wide and collecting the ball and making themselves available as the Quakes were building out of the back was what I think allowed the Quakes to move the ball through the midfield so well. That's something that they've really, really struggled with this season, is moving the ball through the midfield. But the runs and the way that Nico and Jamir were able to move out wide allowed them to do that in this game. And that opened up lots of opportunities for Espinosa to run in behind, for Kokanovic to run in behind. That's how he scored his goal, for Abobasi to run in behind. The Quakes had so many diagonal runs and through balls in behind. It's impossible to count on one hand. They had so many chances created that way. And that's a really, really positive takeaway for this team and for Luchi Gonzalez.
By
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
way, we just heard that Covelo is on his way soon, and that we are getting Shea Salinas.
Excellent, as we should. I wanted to make a quick point here about kind of building off of what you were saying, Alex, in regards to Jeremy Abobasi, because I thought he also had a pretty decent performance this match. And one instance in which he kind of pulled into the midfield in place of where Nico Chikaris and Jamiro Montero would have been is on the instance in which Benji Kokanovic scored his goal. And that through ball was from Jeremy Abobasi, right? Playing a little more deep in from his 9 position. And I think that's another really reliable tool that the Quakes are going to have going into next year. So Luchi Gonzalez has to be excited about having a forward who's willing to come into the midfield and can make such nice passes like that to either wingers or other midfielders who are going towards goal, perhaps on a through ball or just in a creative opportunity to score a goal. So
best hold-up game from Abobasi tonight, second half of the season. He really started to struggle more recently. It was good to see him kind of get back to being able to hold the ball up, and he switched play a couple of times from that hold-up play and such, and that was really excellent to see. And use both feet. He's not afraid to pass right-footed.
I can't even think of a player who had a poor performance tonight. I think that across the board, the team had a really solid performance, and everything was clicking tactically in a way that I hadn't seen before. And I want to give Alex Covelo a lot of credit for that. It's, this was also his final home game in charge of the San Jose Earthquakes. I think it's important to note that because he was put in a really difficult situation, and I think has done a good job with the resources that he was giving and preparing this team for next season. And for him to be able to put together a performance like this, I think is really valuable.
Yeah, and as the Quakes go into this last game against the Seattle Sounders, I think that's something that I know I would like to see again from this team. I'd like to see Nico Chikaris and Jamiro Montero both get that opportunity to start together in the midfield. Again, with Abobasi and building confidence towards the end of the season. Because you're right, Jamon, he did have a few matches there where, he didn't have his best performances this season. But one thing that I think is really optimistic is that while it took him a little more time to find consistency with Jamiro Montero and where he was finding him in his passes, I think we're seeing that quickly develop with Nico Chikaris as well, and I think we're seeing some really good play, interplay between him and the wingers as well. So before we get to the press conference with Alex Covelo here, another point that we wanted to talk about here on the show were the 2022 Club Award winners. I don't know if you saw this, Alex. I had a chance to briefly discuss this with Jamon prior to the show. So I'm just going to read the press release here so that everybody can hear exactly what this looks like. So the Earthquakes today announced, this is the press release, their 2022 club award winners, which includes Jeremy Abobasi as Offensive Player of the Year and Players Player of the Year. JT Marcinkowski as Defensive Player of the Year, Benji Kikanovic as Young Player of the Year, Tommy Thompson as the Media Good Guy, that's always a fun one, and Shea Salinas for the Andrew Bedard Spirit of the Game Award Humanitarian of the Year. And then there's some further notes on Abobasi here that we don't necessarily have to go over. But the first one I would like to get into here, I'm just going to address this to you guys, is, let's see here, the Players Player of the Year. This is the pick that Jeremy Abobasi got out of 2 of the awards that he got. The first one being Offensive Player of the Year. Jamon, perhaps you can kind of describe what this award is, the Players Player Award, and why Jeremy Abobasi got it over all the other players on the team.
My understanding is that is the award that's voted by the players for the player that they felt, had the best season, maybe impacts the locker room. And honestly, not surprising that Jeremy Abobasi, we all know, from having him, in press conferences on the Aftershock, we all know how eloquent he is, how thoughtful he is, how he's always, seeing things like injustices in society and not afraid to speak up and point them out. And we know just how much people in Portland miss him. It's not that surprising that someone like Abobasi comes into the locker room and has a big impact on the environment. He's someone with a winning mentality. We've questioned whether this team has a winning mentality. Jeremy Abobasi has a winning mentality. Guy like Jamiro Montero has a winning mentality. We need more of that in the team. And, you hope that someone like Abobasi is kind of infectious. Surprising to me that he hasn't worn the captain's armband this season at all, to be honest. I know he's not really the most vocal guy on the field, but in the locker room and such, that he is. Looks like we're going to Alex Covelo right now.
Jake, let us know when you're ready.
Pedro, I'm not sure where Jake's at, but I know all of us are here on the line. So we're ready to ask questions if you're ready.
You guys, can you guys hear as well?
Unmuted.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you guys.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you guys for your patience and for being with us tonight. Following the Quakes 2-0 win over Minnesota United FC, we are joined by interim head coach Alex Covelo. Let's go ahead and start with Jamon Moore.
Unmuted.
Hi, Coach. Felt like a really good, 90 minutes plus tonight. Maybe one of the best end-to-end games the team had this season. It seemed like there was a lot of energy, around Shea Salinas' final home game. Really nice moment for him to get the goal the way that he did and be able to take off the shirt and have the moment with the fans there when he came off the pitch as well. But aside from Shea, Nico Chakiris and Jamiro Montero were a lot of fun together tonight in the central midfield. You got a lot of good performances all around. How did you feel, about the game? And who are we leaving out here that impressed you?
Muted.
We had a solid game. The guys were very, very focused. They know what they have to do, regardless the situation, regardless the standings, regardless the new things that they are going to come, regardless the season that we have had. They did great because it's not easy, and they wanted to help Shea. So I think we had a solid game. Nico and Jamiro, they are very good playing there in those interior positions as a 210s in the 4-3, and Nico, the only thing that he needs is time and keep developing physically because he's a great player. In general, we were very good with ball. We found the spaces in between lines well occupied for Nico, Jamiro, and also Jackson. The wingers, Shea and Christian, they were good. Our centers, they formed very well not only the passes outside but also inside. So solid game, also defensively.
Thank you, Alex. Let's go to Alex Morgan.
Hi, Alex. Congratulations on the win. Thanks for joining us tonight. I want to ask about the midfield because Jamiro and Nico getting the opportunity to start together in there for the first time. I'm curious how you thought they played. It seemed like they were able to get on the ball in the build-out and transition the ball through the midfield really well, especially in those wide areas. So I'm curious, what you took away from their performance.
Well, I think that sometimes they were moving a little bit too much to the wide areas. But it was fantastic, not only in transition, but also when we had the ball in build-up. They fixed very well their positions, and we were able to find them. And once Nico or Jamiro, they are able to turn and fix the back line of the opponent, we are dangerous. So it was a fantastic game. I was enjoying on the bench.
Thank you. Let's go to Michael Roberson.
All right, Coach. Was that the plan from the outside? Make sure Shea got a goal in this last home game, and what has it been like for you, Coach, in his last season?
Sorry, I couldn't hear it well. I couldn't listen well the question.
Okay. Was it your goal to get him a goal game from the beginning, and what has it been like to coach him in his last season?
Well, for me to coach Shea is always a pleasure. I know him since I came here in 2017. He always has been a role model, on the field and off the field. I remember him. I was on the bench, on 2017 when Shea scored the second goal and gave us the victory that day, at Stamford. And so it has been a pleasure. And no, I talked with him. We had some conversations together, and I asked him, hey, Shea, do you prefer to start or do you prefer to come from the bench, and finish the game? And he said, Alex, I would love to start and feel the butterflies in my stomach again. So let's go, I said. So that's it. He did very well.
Thank you, Alex. Let's go to Marco Ukalovic.
Hi, Alex. Congratulations on the win tonight. Yeah, while it was also a great night for Shea to score in his final home match, this was also your final home match too. So I'm sure there's a mix of emotions going on with you right now. Can you just explain to us how you're feeling and how it was a good way for you to coach your last home match and go out a winner? Thank you.
Thank you. For me, it's special. It's special because I come back to my first sentence after to win against Seattle at home. I'm happy here. I knew that was going to be a long trip this season. And the only thing that I'm a little bit sad just because at the moment that we needed that lucky to get more 3 points didn't happen. That's it. But in general, I'm very happy about the way that the team has been played. I told you guys before, even when we lost some games with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, I'm so lucky to coach these guys, and they made me better coach.
Thank you, Alex. We'll take 2 more questions total. Last one in English from Jamon Moore.
Unmuted.
Hi, Coach. At this point, looking ahead, to the final game of the season, Seattle Sounders, obviously, they would like to find a way to get into the playoffs. You have the opportunity to stand between them and the playoffs. They've never missed before. Is there any extra motivation for you to be able to come into Seattle and get a result that would keep the Sounders out of the playoffs, next week? Thank you.
Well, the same
Muted.
motivation that we played tonight and we tried to play the other day against Galaxy and also against Dallas before here, the guys are going to show up. They are going to give their best, I'm pretty sure. And if we can have a good game as we have today, even better. Regardless the standings, we have to play for a win. It's our honor, it's our profession, and that's why we get paid.
Thank you, Alex. We'll go ahead and take one question in Spanish from Paula Maruri.
Muy buenas noches, Alex. Último juego en casa con una victoria. En general, ¿cómo puedes describir el proceso de entrenar el equipo para superar diferentes obstáculos, para diferentes encuentros? ¿Qué aprendiste de este equipo y qué fue lo que más te gustó de trabajar con Salinas? Muchas gracias.
Bueno, trabajar con Salinas me gustó todo, porque es fácil trabajar con él. Es un jugador que con la experiencia que tiene y con los años que tiene en MLS podría tener otro tipo de quizá arrogancia y es todo lo contrario. Es un chico humilde que trabaja, que escucha, que quiere aprender, que quiere seguir vinculado en el fútbol y ha sido un placer enorme trabajar con él. En general con el grupo estoy súper contento porque ellos no era fácil la transición, me acogieron bien, trataron de aplicar los planes de juego cada semana. A veces me equivoqué y fueron capaces también de entender que estábamos todos juntos en esto y solo tengo buenas palabras. Lo dije antes en inglés, me ha hecho mejor entrenador y creo que el equipo ha tenido muy, muy, muy buenos momentos.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. Congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We will be joined by man of the match, Shea Salinas, as soon as possible. Thank you.
All right. Man of the match, Shea Salinas, will be joining us soon. So let's talk really quickly about this, the presser here with Alex Covelo, guys. One thing that he said that really stood out to me is that he enjoyed watching the match. And I think that is such a nice thing to hear, considering a lot of the struggles that he's had to get results for this team coming in as the interim head coach after Matias Almeida. Anything stand out to you in this presser compared to, some of the other things that we've heard from Alex Covelo this season? Alex, I'll go over to you first, and then Jamon, we'll go to you right after.
Well, I think it was just nice to see Alex Covelo look so content and happy after that win, because he was put in a really difficult spot this season. He's been going through some difficult games. He wasn't given the proper resources in the transfer market, the summer transfer window, in order to make this team competitive for the playoffs. And yet he's been able to lead this club with integrity, with honesty, and always answers our questions as best he can. It's almost a bit of a shock to have a head coach of the San Jose Earthquakes who's completely not, abrasive or problematic in any way. Just always to be greeted with, professionalism and kindness.
I'm hoping for 2 in a row too, Alex.
2 in a row would be nice. That would
I think Lucy's going to be the same way.
Yeah, and we're seeing, you guys can tell from John Jay, he's such a likable dude. It's nice to see him go out with a victory like this, and I fully expect that he will remain a part of this Earthquakes organization, or he'll have the opportunity if he chooses, because he was already doing a great job working with the Quakes reserves, working with the youth academy, and that seems like a great fit for him, a great role for him within this club.
Yeah, and Jamon, do you agree there? Is this a nice change of pace to have somebody like Alex Covelo at the helm? And what are your thoughts in regards to some of the things he had to say?
100%. I mean, one of my things that I've said is important for this club to do, and I've done articles about it, as well as said it on this show, is that this club, really needs to connect with the fan base. It needs to have a high level of transparency. It needs to be talking with the season ticket holders as frequently as possible. There needs to be a constant feedback loop, particularly when the team is not getting the results on the field. This club has tended, when the results are not good, to go into a shell. And it's exactly the opposite of what you need to do when those results aren't going well. A guy like Covelo, and English not being his first language, I think he does the best he can, to be quite honest. I think he's been great. Certainly a change from, what we had with Matthias and, more kind of, cover-ups and non-answers and such.
Hi guys, Shay Salinas here. Ready to get started?
All right. Well, we got Shay, so time to go to that.
All right, here we go. So I'm gonna make myself decent.
Here we go.
All right, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready. I do have shorts on, just to let you know.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you all for your patience. We're now joined by the man of the hour, Shay Salinas. Let's go ahead and jump right into questions with Alex Morgan.
Hi, Shay. It is great to speak to you. Thank you for joining us tonight, and congratulations on the goal. Congratulations on the win, and congratulations on announcing the retirement and the beautiful send-off that you had tonight. How do you feel right now? What are the emotions going through your head? Have you been able to process what is happening at all, or is it all going by too fast?
A little bit. I mean, this week was a tough week. There's a lot going on this week. But right now I have a ton of adrenaline, really. The game was just a lot of fun. Tried to cherish all the moments. Tried to smile out there. Tried to work hard and run a lot. And so it was a lot of fun. Just celebrating with my teammates a little bit just now. The season obviously didn't go the way we wanted it to, but I'm thankful for the win tonight, and I feel like it was a good send-off.
Thank you, Shay. Let's go to Jamon Moore.
Unmuted.
Shay, thanks for talking with us tonight, and obviously not wearing a shirt to the press conference. Very classy. No, really, we're happy to talk to you, and congratulations on the goal. Let's talk about it. It didn't exactly go probably the way you planned there, a bit of a deflection, but I think you got credit for it. What did you guys talk about in the huddle there? And was this something you guys had planned in advance if there was an opportunity that they were going to find a way to try to get you a chance to shoot there, or was it decided in the moment?
No, it was pretty funny. They were huddled up talking about some plan, and I just jokingly over their shoulder was like, hey, guys, I'm just going to shoot it. And then I walked away. And they were like, no, seriously, yeah, that's fine. Just shoot it. Just shoot it. So I said, okay. I haven't taken a direct free kick my entire career. And so I was thinking the grass is wet, ground is hard. I'm just going to try to hit it low and hope that it skips up and the goalie bobbles it into the corner. And God had a different plan. I tried to hit it with the inside of my foot to the corner and got a good deflection, and it went in the back of the net. So I think it was a moment where God had a plan for this all planned out, and I got to celebrate. At first, I wasn't gonna celebrate, but then I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's make a meal of it here and celebrate. So it was fun.
Thank you, Shay. Let's go to Michael Roberson.
All right, Shay, congratulations. You were doing a J.R. Smith impersonation from 2016 with the Cavaliers, but that's fine though. Did you envision this morning when you said, okay, this is the big game, my last home game? You envision getting a goal, and if you could surmise probably one or two of your best moments here in San Jose or even the stadium right here.
Yeah, I didn't envision scoring a goal today. I haven't played many minutes this year, and I was just hoping to work hard for the team, help us get 3 points, and thankfully we were able to do that. The team played great defensively, got a shutout, and we were able to win the game. Benji had a great finish there at the end. And then my favorite moments, I mean, the first one that pops into my head is when Wando breaks the record here, PayPal Park, with 4 goals. I was fortunate enough to have an assist on the time when he tied the record. So that's a moment I'll remember forever. That was just an incredible night. And then I have the Stanford games that obviously are all real memorable and fun. But man, my career, my favorite moments, honestly, have been in the locker room playing 5v2 with the guys, playing ping pong, playing tech ball, sitting around the meal table and having jokes and banter. Those are the moments I think I'm going to miss the most. I told the guys I'm going to pop in just to hang out around the meal table a lot. So those are my favorite moments, just sitting around with the guys, hanging out.
Thank you, Shea. We'll take 3 more questions here, starting with Marko Ukalovic.
Hey, Shea, congratulations on not only the game-winning goal tonight, but your storied career here in San Jose. You know, it just seems like you've had so many great moments here. When you talk about all those great finishes of the Clásicos, you got the game-winning goal tonight. I guess it was divine intervention that allowed this moment for you to happen and for you to go out that way, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I truly believe that God is all-powerful and that he's wise and that he's good and that he has a plan. And so I think what I can control is how hard I work. And so I try to work really hard. I try to prepare well for things. And then I leave the rest into God's hands. And tonight I think was a great example that I tried to visualize the game and tried to prepare well all week and tried to play my hardest. And then ultimately a great deflection and I got a goal. So just thankful for that.
Thank you, Shea. Let's go to Paula Maruri.
Good evening. Congratulations with the goal. I would like to hear your opinion now that you are retired. How did you see the growth of the Airquest and the MLS, especially with the World Cup around the corner? And the last one, who has been your inspiration for your life, for your career? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 years, the league has changed dramatically. When I first started in the league, the only DP in the league was David Beckham, and now every team has 2 or 3 guys that are world class. When I first started in the league and I told someone that I played professional soccer, I had to say, it's the same league as David Beckham. And then be like, oh, wow, that's cool. So no one even, the general public didn't really know of the MLS. And now I think it's a international brand. I don't have to explain anything. People are amazed that I'm a professional soccer player. So the league's grown a ton. The quality of players has grown tremendously. I've been lucky to survive for 15 years. I mean, we have 18, 19-year-old kids that are way, way ahead of where I ever have been. So it's impressive to see the league's growth. And I think leading into the World Cup, that's just going to accelerate the growth. It's going to make the league even more popular in America. It should draw attention to a lot of our young players. We have a lot of young players that will be playing in the World Cup. So I'm excited to watch it. And I'll be really excited when it's here in America in 4 more years. That'll be really fun. And then inspiration-wise, I've been fortunate to play with a lot of great teammates. In 2012, our locker room was incredible, playing with Jason Hernandez, Alan Gordon, Clarence Goodson, Steven Linhart, Sam Cronin, Chris Wondolowski. So I got to learn a lot from those older guys that were just battlers. They just fought every day for their position. And so I've tried to do that. And I'm thankful that I had those guys as kind of mentors.
Thank you, Shea. One final question comes from Alex Morgan.
Hey, Shea, thanks for taking another question. I also briefly just want to thank you, both personally, and I think I can speak on behalf of the rest of us here in the press as well, just how much we appreciated you over, the last decade, your whole time with the club, always willing to answer our questions, even after the tough games where I think they maybe trotted you out here to take some of the
designated player after a tough loss.
Exactly. I hope you're getting paid for those extra press conferences as well. But we really appreciate you, and I want to give you just one last opportunity. I know you got the opportunity to speak with the fans after the game on the the microphone. But with everything going on in your head, if there's anything left unsaid that you want to mention, that you want to put out there for the fans, for anybody who's listening, just for the community, I want to give you that opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Alex. I think I've been able to say a lot, and I'm thankful that I've been able to share my heart over the last 15 years. I think most people know me pretty well. I have a strong faith in God. I'm thankful that Jesus lived and died for my sins. I know I'm a faultful human who makes mistakes all the time, and I ask God for forgiveness. And I want to be that example to my kids and to the community that you can be imperfect, but just try your hardest and believe in God. So I'm thankful for 15 years of being able to speak my mind and trying to love people well. I'm thankful for the San Jose Earthquakes organization and all the fans who've supported me. The outpouring of support the last week has been incredible. Hearing stories of people who I've impacted has made this all really surreal and really meaningful. The last 15 years have had a purpose, and I'm thankful for that. And I don't know what's going to be next, but I know that God has a plan for me, and I know that it'll be good. And I'm hopeful that He'll use me to make His name known, and hopeful He'll use me to help love others well. And so that's what I'm excited to do. I'm excited to spend more time with my family, not be tired in the afternoons as much, and not have to worry about what I eat and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know what the future holds, and I'm excited for it.
All right. Thank you very much, Shay. Congrats on the goal and the win and all the celebrations tonight.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will close out the season next Sunday in Seattle.
Well, there you have it. Quakes legend Shea Salinas joining us after the 2-0 win against Minnesota United. That's tough, man. Alex, that was really classy of you to allow him to do that at the very end there. And I think he had a lot of really gracious things to say about his time and his teammates over the years and how they helped shape him. But I was looking over at the chat during the press conference, and I agree with a lot of you that are saying that actually Shea has a lot to contribute as well to the guys who are around him. That includes not just the newer guys who are coming up through the Earthquakes now, but also a lot of those men that he named off that he had opportunities to play with. And at the end of the game, when they ran that video with all the players thanking him and for his time, you could see it. Everybody, as he mentioned, from Steven Linhart to Ramiro Corrales to even Simon Dawkins out in Monterey on their field, they pulled in everybody. Frank Gallup, it was pretty amazing. And so the impact that he has on the club, his teammates, and the fans, as you can see in the YouTube chat right now, is enormous. So guys, we're almost at the hour mark here. We still have a couple things left on the docket. We have talked quite a bit about Shea Salinas for a good reason. But I would like to kind of get the discussion back over to the award winners quickly before talking about a couple other folks who perhaps will be having their final moments with the organization in this season and maybe even beyond as well. So, Jamon, you were in the middle of making your point about how the Players Player of the Year award, which was Jeremy Abobasi's one of his 2 awards, was something that honors the sort of best teammate as chosen by the players. And I would like to hear your other thoughts about the awards as they were given. And then, Alex, I'll give you an opportunity to kind of respond to that as well.
So before we move on, very underrated comment right here.
Dude, that made me laugh out loud.
Well done, Jesus. Well done.
That was funny.
All right. So where are we at? No, obviously, it's not surprising that he gets the player award, but since we're not there, we're not voting, we don't see the locker room all the time. It's hard for us to really kind of comment as to why, but I think we can all envision as to why Abobasi won that. Offensive Player of the Year, I didn't think it was as big of a slam dunk for Abobasi as I think people tend to think it is. I place for a guy who writes about how goals are scored as a side hobby. I feel that you could have interchanged Abobasi with other forwards and gotten similar production. So for me, I'm looking at someone who's raising the ceiling or who's raising the floor, who's doing something that another person can't do in their place. And I still think that the most irreplaceable player at this moment in this team, in this system, is right. And having his best season ever, but arguably, at least since 2019, is Christian Espinoza. He is still turning in like huge numbers of assists. His expected assists are good. He takes all the set pieces and now, for the corner kicks and close in, set piece situations. If you don't have Christian Espinoza in a Almeida Covelo system, you've got problems. But could you replace Abobasi, let's say, with half of the strikers in the league and get 15 goals? Yes, I think so, because you have guys like Espinoza and Kikanovic and Montero who are giving them the service and the opportunity to be able to score those goals. There's very few goals Jibo will pull out that are like, wow, no one could have scored that except for Jibo. But there are goals that we've seen, such as tonight from Benji Kikanovic. No one else on the Quakes can score the goal that Benji did tonight. That's a fact. So for me, I'm looking at someone who kind of raises that level and does something a little bit special. And this offense still revolves around Christian Espinoza. Christian Espinoza is playing well. The offense is well. And when he's not, people got to pull stuff out of their butts.
Jamon, I was there with you the whole way until you said Christian Espinosa's name. I was so certain.
It's demonstrably true. I will take anyone on in a stat fight.
I was never been more certain of anything than Jamon about to say Jamiro Montero with the way that he sets up.
No, Jamiro Montero is the best player on the team, the best offensive player in terms of who contributes the most to the offensive attack and actually scoring the goals, and a team who's done pretty well scoring in the top half of goals for a team that is in last place. The main reason for that is not Jeremy Abobasi, it's Christian Espinoza.
I think that Jamiro Montero is what's allowed Christian Espinoza to play so well, though. I think that he's the reason that Christian Espinoza is getting
but hold on. But if you switch out a Montero with a Nico Shakiris, who can play the 10 at that level, don't you get the same thing?
Jamon, I think that this is a conversation that we might have to save for our postseason
end of season conversation.
We're not quite there yet. I know everybody's saying that Chase Salinas is retired. The Quakes have one more game
left.
They're on the road.
I'm hoping to talk to him when he's up here next week.
They can be the spoiler. They can keep the Sounders out of the playoffs. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and
I just have to say,
I like Abobasi. I think he's great. There's a number of reasons I think he's great. I also think he's got a number of deficiencies. I just feel like the most important player in the attack is Christian Espinoza.
I see that, and if it was more of like maybe like an MVP award, but that's not even the argument that you're making. Then I would perhaps agree.
Not making the MVP. The MVP is Jamiro Montero.
Period.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. For the most important attacker.
Yeah.
Is Christian.
I can see that maybe
it's a distinction.
I'm going with Jeremy Abobasi myself. I do think his consistency, he consistently started throughout the season. He was always there for the ups and the downs.
Yeah, and we don't have an MVP award for some odd reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. And I just think that like the way that we saw the trajectory of his performances, like, I mean, with the exception of the last couple of games, like how he got better in playing with Jamiro Montero and Christian Espinoza, and how he allowed for that space to open up on the wings and even at times in the 18. I just think Jabo had it. I think it's hard to convince me that he doesn't deserve this offensive player award. But looking at the defensive end, JT Marcinkowski, I mean, is there anybody else that you would perhaps give the award to? I mean, he has a tremendous number of saves, and we had a really loose backline throughout the season. I mean, I don't really think it's an argument here, guys.
I think it's got to be JT. He's the most consistent performer in there.
Yeah, I mean, number two to him is Nathan, but
yeah,
there's a bit of distance right now between JT and Nathan.
Yeah. So
honestly, it would have been Francisco Calvo if he had stayed potentially.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but okay, yeah. Yeah, he did.
Francisco is a huge reason why this team is not in the playoffs right now. Honestly,
I'm writing these down so we can bring these up on the post.
Let's bring these up in the post.
Okay, listen.
We're past an hour, so we should probably bring all these up in the postseason show.
Okay, so we will get to which I think is important, and you two can actually respond to this, the Media Good Guy Award. We're going to table this conversation, though, and just so folks who are following along, Tommy Thompson was the one who was given that award. Okay, we have one last important thing we need to talk about before we wrap up the show, and that is we're looking at perhaps, Jamon, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'd like to kind of hear from you on this because you know more about this than I do, the last of Chris Dangerfield, Anthony Passarelli, and Daniel Slayton as the broadcast team for the Earthquakes moving forward because of their work with NBC Sports Bay Area, and perhaps not with the new Apple TV Plus deal that's going to be moving forward with Major League Soccer moving into next season.
Yeah, there's still a lot of information that we lack about what's actually going to happen next season. But the broad assumption is that the regional teams are going away, and all the broadcast teams are basically saying their goodbyes to the fans, saying, hey, this is our last home game together. This is, whatever. Obviously, a lot of the crew will get to do a decision day game. But for those of us who watch on ESPN Plus, this is the last time, from a home crew perspective, that we get to listen to Danger Danielle and Passarelli, and I think they've been a good crew over the years. And it's, going to be different to watch Quakes games without somebody who really kind of understands the team. You kind of look forward to that after you listen to the away announcers and how terrible they are sometimes at knowing the teams. And you can only imagine, like, when there's, a rotating crew of 10 announced teams or whatever the heck it's going to be, that they're probably not going to know the teams in depth. And there's going to be ones that you like, okay, and there's going to be ones that you really hate because they definitely don't know your team. And at least, like, well, every other game, at least we're going to get, our three people who know the team fairly well, right? That's going away. And I think that that's a big thing that we will see what this means for the league in terms of moving things over onto Apple TV Plus. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully they'll find the audience there, and we'll see how it goes. But I hope we're not getting Andres Cantor. Please, let's not hate this. The absolute worst people, hands down, are the Tuden English announcers. It's not even close. They're the absolute worst announcers.
I'm not going to comment on that. Alex, you have any thoughts in regards to this topic before we go to the final thoughts?
Yeah, I want to thank Danger and Danielle and Passarelli for all the work they've done over the past decade or so covering the team. They've been an excellent commentary team. I think we're lucky to have them in San Jose, and I think they'll be missed by the community and certainly by me. It's nice to turn on the broadcast and hear familiar voices every time I watch the Quakes. So we're going to miss them for sure. And hopefully we'll see them in some capacity remain involved with the club in San Jose.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right.
I believe the Spanish announcers, just someone correct me if I'm wrong, and Christian or Nestor or anyone else who knows this. I believe the Spanish announcers do both television and radio. So because they do radio, they should still be available for the Apple TV Plus, but I'm not sure about that. And also, I think Univision and Tuden still will have a relationship with the league, just like Fox and ESPN will. So some games will be over there. But I don't know. I admit I don't know the everything that's going on the Spanish side.
Yeah, I'm sure the details will be.
Someone says Univision is the worst commentary team. Univision, Tuden, isn't it the same? I think it's the same broadcasters.
Right? It is. Univision is the same. It's the exact same one. And there are a couple other that broadcast soccer, but it's not for Major League Soccer.
Jamon, I'd be careful. They're probably saying the same thing about us. They're probably saying the Aftershock, man, that's the worst post-game show covering San Jose.
I couldn't care less what they think about us.
All right, final thoughts section. Alex Morgan, I'm going to go over to you first for your final thoughts before we head out of here.
Yeah, I have a list of things here that I want to touch on just briefly, a couple of highlights, because I think there was a lot going on, important to celebrate Shea Salinas and, to talk about the success of Nico Shakiris and Jameer Montero in the middle, Anthony Passarelli, Daniel Slayton, the broadcast crew, Alex Covelo's final home game. A couple brief things that made me excited, made me happy in this game. I think it was fun for the Quakes to be the kingmakers. This is a result that is, going to make it really hard for Minnesota United to make the playoffs. And I think it's fun to be in that position. And I think that they're going to be in that position again next weekend against the Seattle Sounders. So that's why I'm tuning into that one. Cade Cowell's hair. I'm surprised we weren't able to cover that. The pink locks, I'm
Yeah,
on
the
board.
blockade. What's going on with that?
I'm on board, Jamie. You seem skeptical. Jamin's throwing a lot of shade on the show tonight. I'm on board with the pink locks. I think it's fun to mix it up.
It kind of looked a little purplish to me, but I'm looking at it on TV, so I don't know what it looks like live.
Jamie,
It was ambiguous.
we can do a full breakdown a later point.
I love how everyone's like, oh yeah, no, like, color on top is a terrible thing, and then when someone does it, all of a sudden they say it looks good. Everyone's always hated frosted tips and stuff like that. Like, why are all of a sudden is Cade like good?
Jamin, I'm not sure that you should be casting dispersions in this department. I feel like you're vulnerable.
Exactly why I can say it, because I can be completely objective about it.
Oh, I see. I see. It's a little spicy, Alex. You better watch it.
Yeah, Jamie's a little smug right now. We'll have to see.
So like the Quakes, we're just having fun tonight, right?
Exactly. All right. Before it gets too out of hand, Paul Marie, I want to highlight him as the good guy of the night. He should win an award for just stirring the pot a little bit. He was right there alongside Shea Salinas doing the shirtless celebration. He was the one who grabbed Shea Salinas and roped him into the circle and made sure he was taking that free kick. So I think he should get an honorary assist for that one. And I think that just highlighted the fact that Paul Marie always brings great vibes to this locker room. I think that a lot of the players, if you talk to them, say that he's one of the funniest guys on the team, and making everybody laugh. And I think you could see that tonight. So that was fun. Two more things briefly. LA Galaxy lost tonight. It's going to make it hard for them to make the playoff. Has nothing to do with the Quakes right now, this game, but that's always good to see. And the Quakes are not going to be. They've lost the race for the wooden spoon. I think DC United clinched that tonight.
They clinched it tonight.
So that's the final wooden spoon update. I want to send our congratulations their way for the achievement. And that's about it from this game. I look forward to seeing y'all after next weekend's game.
All right, Jamin.
I gotta get off mute here. I do want to say that if it is for cancer awareness, good on Cade. I got no problem with it for cancer awareness. Just end it at the end of the month, please. But for cancer awareness, that would be great. And someone else said it looks red to them. So
I thought it was pink, but yeah. All right, Jamin, your final thoughts here as we head out. Was that it?
Well, this team should try to have fun more often.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's be fair. They should be playing Montero and Chakiris together. And I think we've been saying this for a while, that they should have been doing this before. Now, we could have had 3, 4, or 5 games of this combination, and we didn't get it against the Galaxy because Montero, I think we found out how important Montero is, the MVP in our minds, is to this team, because look what this team looked like without Montero against the Galaxy, and look what they look like tonight with having Montero back and Chakiris beside him. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was great. I know some of that is because of the Shea celebration, but at the same time, sometimes good teams are ones that are having fun on the pitch together. And it's been a while since the Quakes looked like they were having fun. It's been a while since the chat here, the fans were having fun. So I think we all sensed it tonight, right? This is what we've been looking for, is for this team to roll out the youngsters and have a bit of fun. And, while it was the old man who scored the winning goal tonight, I think that we got to see, something really cool with the young players that got their shot tonight. And we want to see more of it. I was kind of surprised that they didn't start Trauco. There was a comment made by Covelo midweek. I missed the press conference because I was on vacation this week. But Alex, I don't know if you were there. I thought he said that they were looking to get more time for Trauco. And where was that tonight? I expected him to start. No shade on Maria. I thought he was fine, but I want to see more Trauco. Love to see a Capo, but I don't think we're going to at this rate. I think we're going to have to wait till next season to see a Capo with this group. So that would have been nice, but team gets a clean sheet for the most part, deserved. They had a couple of situations there that were potentially dangerous, but it also did a good job, I thought, in transition defense, snuffing those out and looking better organized in the box to be able to handle some of those situations. And, It's something we haven't seen a lot of this season. And part of that is, again, not feeling like it's work out there, but feeling like, you're having fun as a team. And every one of us who've played soccer or other sports know what it's like when you're on a team where everything's going well, when you're having fun, like the game comes naturally, the decisions are better. You put out, dangerous situations like that a lot better. You're acting more as a collective and less like individuals. And it's too bad that, we're now seeing what the, 2022 earthquakes could have been.
Jamon, I just caught up on the comment that Cade's hair was for cancer awareness. Now, do you feel bad for
do we know it's for that,
talking
or
crap about the hair? I think there's a good chance. I think we should.
They didn't bring Cade to us tonight, so we can ask that question now, did they?
We should have an apology in order, Jamon.
I will ask. Let's do this. Let's ask Jake if we can find out the reason for the hair coloring, and if he comes back and says it's for cancer awareness, I will do a public apology. How about
you got a deal, Jamon.
Do that. You don't need to do that. All right. Here's my last bit for the show tonight. Make sure you check out quakesepicenter.com. There's if you go to our website, not only can you find our latest articles in regards to the team, both in long form and some of the analysis of some of the matches as well. You could find our shop where you can get one of these scarves. Show it to them, boys. There it is. The Aftershock on one side, San Jose on the other. And the very cool Quakes Epicenter logo and Aftershock logo as well. Speaking of scarves, Jamon, over on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, if you like and retweet the latest scarf tweet that is out there.
Yeah, it came out a couple hours before the game. If you have any trouble finding it, let me know. Send me a DM or something, and I'll be happy to point you to it. But we are doing a giveaway. We're doing a scarf giveaway in honor of Fan Appreciation Night. We're going to be giving away a scarf. So even if you already have yours, there's got to be someone in your life. Christmas is coming up. Whatever holidays you celebrate, something is coming up. I'm sure someone would love to get a gift of an Aftershock scarf from you. So please like and retweet that tweet so that we can get the news out there about the scarves and be able to get it to a deserving person.
And before we get out of here, I do want to shout out the Patreon really quickly. So you can find the Quakes Epicenter Patreon on our website as well. You can see it on the bottom of the screen there. If if it's within your means and you can pay a couple dollars a month, you'll get early access to the content on our website before we release it to the general public. This includes some videos. This includes articles that are written by our wonderful writers and analysts, including these two gentlemen right here. And if you have the means to go up to the $5 tier, then you can join the Quakes Epicenter Patreon Slack, which some of the folks on the YouTube here tonight are members of that Slack, and they'll tell you how great it is. It gives you an opportunity to talk some really serious Quakes talk with folks who are fully invested in this team, for better or worse. It's a lot of fun. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on a night where some of us shed tears and had a lot of fun watching the Earthquakes for once this season. So make sure you like and subscribe to our channel right here on YouTube and turn on your notifications so you can join us after the match against the Seattle Sounders, which will be the final game of the season. And I
will be live in person for that.
Live in person. Jamon will be there at the stadium.
I will be in a media room this time because everyone got mad at me for doing it in the press box last time. So, but I will be somewhere in the stadium.
And one more thing, John, there's a comment from Jesus here in the chat that he wants a post-season show with fans. If you do join the Patreon $2 a month tier, we host quarterly Zoom calls where we get to chat with y'all and we get to hear your voices and you can turn the tables a little bit if you're tired of hearing the same old opinions, same old conversations from us every week.
We will definitely do a post-season Q&A with the fans for sure.
Yeah, and I want to thank Jesus as well for giving me the best laugh of the night with your comment.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. So, all right, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight here on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast forum, thank you for subscribing and whatever podcast service you're listening to. Have a wonderful night.